You see all these mobs? They won't probably be there when you play. I should have healed before engaging, but I'm gonna be okay.
What a noob uninstall!
Hey everybody, it's Redbeard Flynn, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about what to expect in your first couple days in Norrath. Specifically, what to expect in your first moments in Norrath. Your first moments, or kind of get you ready for it if it's been a while. It's been a while for me, I'll admit. I mean, I was there for the start of Rizlona, which was one of the more recent ones, but Rizlona had a bit of a different start than, say, Aradun, which is a much larger and bigger server. So we're kind of going to go over really what to prepare yourself for, what you can look forward to. The first one I want to talk about is that queues and downtime. So this I want to go ahead and start this off as the first thing, because it is kind of a negative thing in some ways. The good part about it is that yes, that means that there are a lot of people interested in EverQuest, and there will be a lot of people for you to play with. But it also means that you can expect a lot of load on the server at the very beginning. You can expect a lot of server queues. It's just kind of how it goes. It is not unique to EverQuest. That is just how a lot of launches are. There is a very large audience of MMO starved people that are waiting for something new, and it's been this way for a while, that they're so desperate for something new and exciting that they will jump on anything that happens, including something like an EverQuest progression server. And there are a lot of people that have quit EverQuest and moved on, but they will come back for the beginning of a progression server because it's a kind of fun and unique experience. It's a very interesting experience to go through that, to experience a game that is 22 years old and kind of experience it like launch day for the very beginning. So there's a lot of people that want to do it. That's great. But the downside is you're going to have some queues and some downtime. I don't know what to expect with Mischief. Aradun was the one that a lot of people will point to as being pretty bad with the queues and the downtime. I actually experienced that a lot with Ragefire. Ragefire, before they opened up Lockjaw, which is a second progression server that they had not initially planned, it was rough. There's no real way to go about it. The queues were pretty rough. It was the first progression server in a little while, and it was tough. This was all back in 2014, I think. Finagil was so-so. I mean, Finagil was building off of success of other progression servers, so you already had 2 progression servers that were currently out, and then Finagil came along with Agents of Change. It was a whole new thing. It was an exciting thing, and it was different, and it was kind of, you still had some of the queuing things. I don't really remember downtime, but that could just be my selective memory. But yeah, it was, so there will be some things that are gonna be rough at the beginning. I would suggest not taking time off from work. You know, don't give yourself time at the beginning to have those issues that are going to be beyond your control. Queues. Primarily queues. There might be some downtime, but primarily queues. I think you can pretty much expect there to be queues. Queues are there to kind of help prevent the downtime, right? So, and then you can also, you can start up earlier to try and get the queue. So if you know you want to play around 5 o'clock, maybe try and jump in the queue around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, see if it's possible. That's kind of how I would suggest going about it. Number 2, and this can be seen as good and bad. It really just depends on how you are personally taking it. Expect to see hundreds, if not thousands of people very early on in the game. So expect to see 10, 20 instances of your starting zone. That can be really startling for someone if say the last progression server you were on was Ragefire, which I don't believe had load shedding, or before that if it was Sleeper Combine or Fippy. If it was one of those, there wasn't a way that EverQuest had figured out to kind of handle that huge rush of people all starting at the same place, trying to get the same NPCs and everything like that. What they've done now, which I think is kind of, well, one, I think it's essential, and two, I think it was a genius way to go about it, because it did not really create instances, but it created more open world zones of the same zone, but not in the way that Warcraft did it, because Warcraft kind of did it seamlessly, which was good in some ways, but it also kind of created, like, it kind of pulled you out because you could be somewhere and someone else could be somewhere else. You know, there was some issues with it because you didn't have the control over it that you might have wanted. Now, that's not to say there's not issues with instancing in EverQuest, or rather, pick zones in EverQuest. There are. There definitely are. That's a different video. But what I think it does do is it allows you to pick and choose when and where to play with your friends and with your group. And it's pretty easy to go to your group within pick zones. And if you're not looking for a specific camp, it's just very helpful, and you will have that ability to do that. And you're going to have pick zones that are full, and you'll be able to find people to group with in each pick zone. That's one of the great things about being there at launch, is there will be people. And with a game that is as social as EverQuest, that's exactly what you want, is you want people to group with. You want people to do things with, and you want to meet new people and have fun with new people. So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, it can be positive and negative. It can be a little bit stressful having that many people around. It does kind of in some ways ruin immersion when you see 75 dark elves all running to kill the same garter snakes, but still, there's also a whole, it's a hard experience to explain if you haven't done it, being at launch and seeing that many people in the game. You know, it's just a crazy experience, and I really recommend it to anyone. Next thing is that there's going to be quick breaks between the hardcore and the casual, right? So what I mean by that is when you're leveling, you're all kind of starting in the same place, right? But as you go, you're going to start seeing just a quick accelerating gap between the more casual players and the more hardcore players. And saying hardcore and casual in EverQuest is it's a recipe for an argument, but what I'm talking about more is when I say hardcore, I mean people that are very interested in pushing the content and want to get to max level as fast as possible and have the time to do so. And then when I'm talking about casual players, I'm talking more about people who want to just experience the leveling process, some who don't have as much time to invest, because one thing that is for certain about EverQuest is it does take an immense amount of time to get to max level compared to, say, common or games that you can pick up now with, you know, level boosts and all different kinds of catch-up mechanics and faster experience and soloable content and things like that. EverQuest, when it starts out, is not that way. It is a game that you need to be working with people. You're not really going to be able to solo quickly to max level. You may be able to solo to max level, but it will not be nearly as quick as with a group, especially with some of the changes they made, I want to say about maybe a year ago, where they upped the experience in groups and to kind of like really incentivize join a group. You know, they want you to be grouping with people. It's the fastest way to get experience. And for some classes, it may be the only way to get experience. I'm looking at you, clerics. So expect some guild recruitment. When I say some, I mean a shit ton of guild recruitment. There are going to be a lot of guilds that want members. Some of them will fade within the first couple of weeks. Some of them will last until the end of the server. So really what your main thing you're going to want to do is look for the guild that fits your needs. There's going to be guilds recruiting for friends and family. There'll be raid guilds. There'll be all kinds of guilds out there. A lot of them are probably going to be recruiting in the zone called the Common Lands. That's where, you know, most people are. But I think that if past progression servers are any indication, you will probably have server-wide channels, and you'll be able to get, contact that way as well. So there is more communication than there used to be, but you will still see guild recruitment there. Another good place to look for a guild if you're looking is on the EverQuest forums under the guild recruitment section and on the progression server section. That is a good way to find a guild. It is way that I found a lot of my guilds, and you normally find like their guild website and things like that, and you can kind of get a better idea of if that guild is for you from there. But yeah, expect a lot of guilds. It's not like World of Warcraft where you're just going to be pestered with guild invites, because there isn't the same kind of benefit of being in a guild as that. Like the just being in the guild, not actually being with guildies, like with XP bonuses and stuff like that's not there. The actual benefit of guilds in EverQuest is doing things together, having contacts, that kind of thing. Kind of like it's an old school reason for a guild. So this one's a little bit more towards the negative, I guess, but expect some frustration. So the way that I like to kind of think about it is think about this as the start of a marathon. You are going to have everyone lined up together. You will have the pros and you will have the amateurs all lined up, all starting at the same time, all with the same goal in mind. But some people will take it a lot more seriously than others, and that's just kind of how it's going to go. But because you're all starting right at the same place, you're going to run into each other. So that person who's trying to get the server first level 50 is going to be much more driven and have much more incentive to make sure to get that really good experience camp or that really good gear camp than you will. And it can and sometimes does lead to some griefing. It leads to some training. It happens. Kind of go in with a little bit of expectation about it. You don't have to engage in any of it. It is not a big part of the game. I say this as someone who has played on multiple progression servers. The way that they have gone about it, they have created ways to get around that. And I think it's going to be even more interesting on Mischief specifically with the random loot and things like that. Depending on how that works out, that could alleviate some of the other like camp griefing and things like that. So it looks like it's going to kind of spread out the importance of NPCs and things like that. So really, I'm hopeful that this server will continue on the trend of past servers and cut down on the amount of griefing that goes along. But just expect a little bit. Take a step back, take a breath, let it go. There's no need. A lot of us are adults, kids, adults with families, adults with jobs. We don't need to, get into that anymore. Just breathe, let it go. It's a game. It's a fun game, but it's still a game. And you can always get the camp the next time. So I want to end with a very positive note. And this kind of touches on all the other points so far. Expect great new experiences. Expect a wave of nostalgia if you've played before. Expect social interactions that you will remember. You expect to have memories of encounters and events and things that you do in the game that will stick with you as like that was some of those great gaming memories that when you reminisce about, oh, remember when we did this? That will be something that you will probably gain from this server. It is a opportunity to gain a lot of those experiences, and it comes around really once a year with this game. There is a reason why so many of us, to cause queues, so many of us come back when they launch new progression servers. So many of us come back after playing multiple progression servers because there is an experience and a platform for experiences that is created by EverQuest that just does not currently exist in many other games, if any. For a lot of us, if there aren't really any other games that create that, at least not yet. So it is one of those things that it's worth some of the negative things to experience the positive things. I mean, if you're this far into the video, you have to think that too, right? If you're watching any of these videos, you have to kind of think that. So I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but yeah, expect those great experiences and the wealth of nostalgia that comes. Yes, there's going to be a couple things. There's going to be things you can nitpick over, like the zones, and there's differences that were not there in the original EverQuest, but still, progression servers by themselves are an experience, and I hope you have a great time. And I would love to group with you. I'll be playing the server. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/redbeardflynn. I'll be jumping in there and seeing how far I can get. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you staying till the end. If you like this video, please like and subscribe right somewhere down there. I would love to hear about either your experiences in progression servers, or like what your first couple experiences were, what server you played on, when you played. I would like to know what you're expecting to get out of Mischief. Please leave it down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you.